Welcome to the O'Connor Elder Law channel. I'm your host, Melissa O'Connor. I'm a Florida-based elder law attorney who does estate planning, focusing on long-term care needs, commonly referred to as Medicaid planning, and I do probate, and I do it well. Today I wanted to talk to you about how do you afford long-term care nursing home, whether it's assisted living, memory care, nursing home care. This topic comes up frequently in my practice. How are we going to afford that? But before I do, I wanted to invite you to schedule a free strategy session with me at eldermeeting.com. So how does one afford nursing home care? This is a unique conversation to each person, but I thought that I would use this video to kind of go through the highlights as to the topics that we hit when we are looking at how someone's going to afford the care they need. One of the first things we ask is whether or not you have long-term care health insurance. If you have long-term care health insurance, now's the time to pull out the policy and take a look at it. What are its terms? How do you make a claim? How much money do you have? Is it a policy that's about time, or is it about money? Do you have so many years or months worth of care, or do you have so much money once you expend that amount of money on care, then your policy limits have been reached? Or do you have a lifetime benefit policy? I have seen those. They're rare, but there are some gems out there, and you don't know what you may have until you take out the policy. Now, if you don't have a policy, or your policy, you find out it's a little bit inadequate, that's okay. We can continue the conversation. One of the next things we want to look at is, did you or your spouse serve in the military during a wartime? Wartime veterans, the VA offers them aid and attendance benefits. What's considered a wartime veteran is very specific. There are dates which the VA deems wartime, so you may have served and you thought you served during Korea time frame, right? Or the Vietnam time frame, but then you might be just outside the dates that they consider being the war. So we want to look at your discharge papers and essentially determine whether or not you or your spouse qualifies, as a wartime veteran for those benefits. If that doesn't apply to you, or you otherwise determine that you aren't interested in applying for VA aid and attendance benefits, or those benefits are inadequate, then we can look at Medicaid planning. Essentially, Medicaid is the federal program that offers long-term care benefits to people who meet certain health and financial criteria. And so what we want to do then is look at your finances and come up with a plan to see how we can make you fit into the box to be able to qualify for such benefits. There are other ways, of course, if you don't want any of these things. That involves your relatives getting second jobs to be able to help pay for your care, liquidating and selling assets to be able to help pay for care. And those are really the realities of how expensive it is to grow old in the United States at this juncture in time. So those are the conversations we have. I encourage you to explore your options with an elder law attorney, rather, before you start liquidating assets, or at least before you wear yourself out with a second job, because caregivers need to care for themselves first, and we need the healthy, relatives to live a long, long time, so that way they can be there for everybody else. So I really encourage you to explore all your options before you make big money decisions. And again, if you want to schedule a free strategy session with me, you may, eldermeeting.com. I hope this has been helpful.